Okay, mate. So today, long time coming, we are joined by our sponsors, Stridyl, Hayley and David from Stridyl. How are you guys?
Very good. Very good, guys.
Thanks for having us. We're actually in your house.
Stridyl HQ.
We've come out to your place. I know we're hosting the podcast, but it is your house. So thanks for having us, guys.
That's all right. It was easy for us.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So we've been working with you guys for probably a year and a bit now, which has been good. We did we went up with you guys for the Magic Millions, which we were so thankful for, and we learnt so much, and we had a great time with you guys as well. A couple of drinks there as well. We had a good time, but yeah, it's been a relationship that's been building up, and it's awesome to finally get you guys on.
Yeah, no, we've really enjoyed it, and it's great to work with people who are so enthusiastic about it as well. So, no, we're enjoying the ride with you guys.
No, it's good. I think you guys were the ones that really first saw us for young. I know it's a changing game with social media and stuff, and you guys were the first ones that really probably reached out to us and really saw us, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Thank you very much. So
yeah, that's cool. We've been in this game a long time, and we sort of know that the younger generation coming up is going to be so influential. Racing is moving, as with most industries, but just getting the different point of views coming through and different ideas, we love that stuff. We love fostering that. We love seeing where that can go. So yeah, we're delighted.
yeah, that's awesome. So tell us about yourselves. So obviously Stridyl, that's what you guys are here for. So what is Stridyl? We'll start with that.
Who came up with the idea, Dave?
So, I essentially came up with the concept of the platform. It's not an original platform. It's been tested by other companies such as Inglis.
Yep.
I worked for Inglis before Inglis Digital is at where it's at now, on the auction side of it. So I've always had an appetite for the digital side of the horse industry, and then we were just working on a few things on the Racehorse and media side because we own a production company. And the biggest frustration I got was we always want to see our clients have a good experience and be successful in whatever they invest in us. And we do the video, give it to them, crickets. It was like, how did you go with it? What did you do with it? Let's put it on the Facebook. Or, I tried my database, etc. So we found that side of it was something lacking. Plus, myself and Hayley being racing managers, where your boss goes to the sale, puts his hand up, the horse goes to gets knocked down to them, but no avenue to then bring the person into the fold. And that's how we kind of got started, and that's how the kind of premise was of, well, if we don't build it, maybe no one else will, and we really want it to be a part of our industry. So that's how we took our pennies out of our pocket and put our money where our mouth was and built a platform that we think facilitates that side of it, and certainly trying to improve, the capabilities of trainers and syndications.
I've really loved putting all of our life savings into it.
That's the best bit, hey?
Well, when it comes to the Stridyl platform, for those who have never heard of it, what is it, who's it for, and how does it work?
So the platform essentially has been designed around consumer behaviours. We've seen consumer behaviours change across every aspect of our lives. So when you purchase, if you're going to get a takeaway, you go Uber Eats. You want a taxi, you go Uber. If you are looking for a house, you go realestate.com or Domain. They've already built these platforms for our consumer behaviour. So that's why we went down that avenue. And what was the question again? Just before I started to go into a tangent. Before I go into a tangent,
The question was, David, what is Stridyl?
Yeah, what's the platform? Who's it for, and how does it work?
So the platform in general is what David is saying is we already had proven evidence that platforms like realestate.com or Uber Eats already worked.
Yeah.
And people were using it. People were going online. So before we used to read stuff in the newspapers or magazines or call up. Now it was like, I can just do this on my phone really simply. And people really quite enjoyed maybe not having to cold call people either. Like actually cold calling people is a little bit, especially now we've all gone digital. Like I'm not going to call him. That's bizarre. What a bizarre behavior to have.
I agree. I hate getting on the phone.
I'm just going to message him. So we sort of did it around that. So realestate.com really worked in the real estate, and it was the closest thing to us. Uber Eats is also close, but it was a place that basically for the everyday person could go and work out, how do I buy a racehorse? And that is our tagline, is come here to buy your next racehorse. So it's basically an area where you can go look at horses, see who trains them, see who owns them, who's syndicating them, and then potentially find out more information about them than what you probably would on their website, because a lot of their websites were okay compared to what was going on out there. And we had a videography company where we could make really cool video content that you could learn as well as think, all right, I actually know, I feel a little bit more informed now about what it is that I'm buying. So Stridyl is for everyone and anyone who basically wants to purchase a racehorse.
Yeah, I love the concept. I know when we first met you guys, it's for us, especially when we started when we shouldn't have. We were 18, we didn't know too much about it, and it was the perfect concept of, it's so simple to look at. It's like, the way I looked at it was car sales, but horses.
Yep.
Exactly.
And it's on there perfectly for you to see. If you don't know what you're talking about, your price range is there. You change the settings however you want it. It's perfect for people like us, and that's, I guess, why we started working together, is to capture that market, is that young, probably male as well, young male demographic can easily capture it, and I think it's been a great idea, and it's awesome to see. So when did you guys, when you started making it, actually start to get like a bit of attention on your marketplace? So how long did it take?
To be honest, it took way longer than what we thought.
Oh, okay.
And that will be with anything I think anybody starts digitally, because when you think something up, you're in that exciting stage, like, oh, we're going to design this. It's going to look so sick. We can do this. And you're definitely...
Everyone's going to love it.
You're loving it, right?
Yeah.
You're like, this is... Like, you're happy to stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning to design this thing. You're going bananas. And then you put it out there and you're like, all right, turns out there was a few fundamentals we had to learn before we put it there. And that was a really big fun part of Stridyl for me, because every day I used to say to David, it doesn't matter because we got this far or we got this far. And every time we did something, whether it be right or a mistake, it was a learn. And so I sort of always felt that if it was good or if it was bad, it didn't matter. It was still an investment in us. As much as we put a lot of money into it, we invested in our own learning, because we didn't go to university to learn this. We just did it on the roll. So when we first put the concept out, because the way the platform was built, is we have 2 parts of the platform. The first area of that is media and education. So you can go there and you can learn about trainers, the syndicators, or horses. That was pretty easy. That was a really easy thing to do. We could put that out. And that was our general plan, was, well, we already have a videography company. We can make really cool videography in-house. Let's put that out and grab the attention so people understand what they just haven't started to look at the brand. What is Stridyl? Where is it going? Who is it? What color is it? And
that's how we got involved, was through the media and just
What
racing media, and then platform came later. The marketplace came later.
The marketplace came later, because that was a little bit more of a build, and that was more of a web development build that was outside our skill set. So we had we could make your content, we could make stuff look really pretty. We had a fantastic web designer who's second to none. But the web development side was tricky. And actually, when we got down into it, what we thought was a really simple pathway was a little bit difficult to execute in the back end. So that probably took us a little bit longer than what we liked, realistically. And then by the time we got out there, we then had to change our message, because our first message was just, hey, look at us, look what we can create. And then we had to change that message to say, also, we do this. And that was probably something we found we were a little bit slow on. I think genuinely we thought, we'll put this out and then they'll just follow to there. But it actually took a little bit of work. It actually took a little bit more than what we anticipated, which is fine, because it was another learn. And as the platform that it is now will be very, very different again in 5 years' time. So now I've understood that pathway. I understand for the next couple of, we've actually planned for version 2, 3, and 4. of the
okay.
website that we know we have to get to. However, we also understand that we have to understand the behaviors and how to get there. It's a tricky thing. You don't really want to be before your time, because then you've lost everyone, and they're just like, oh, this is too hard. So you sort of got to have something and understand the behaviors you've got now, and then understand how you can, and it's a terrible word, and I don't mean to say it that way, but it's how to train them. But that's how we've done it. That's how Uber Eats trained us how to use Uber Eats. Each platform trains you how you want to use it. So we had to be able to work out how to do that, and not being web developers. Oh, that was fun.
Jesus.
You are now.
Yeah, every day is a school day.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we are building this platform for both sides who aren't going to build this. We built it to ease the pain on trainers and syndications. We are their marketing tool. We are their access to those who are interested, and vice versa for guys like yourself. You're not going to, on a Saturday afternoon, when you've got a slight inclination of, I might want to become a racehorse owner, you're not then going to, where do you start searching? The first one comes up, let's just say Gay Waterhouse, and there's 26 yearlings on there. Maybe there's no price because legally they can't advertise the price. The information is limited because they have a lot of horses, so it's, or it could be too much information to consume. And then you send the email. One of Gay's team, and I'm only using Gay as an example because they would have a vast majority in diversity. Then they've got to get back to you. It's
a process.
It's a
I know
process.
it would have been a lifesaver when we were 18 because I was put in charge of the friend group. Like every time we won on the punt, we need to buy a horse. We need to buy a dog. Cashy, find out how much it is. How can we get involved? Like we need it. Like, and we had $300 thinking that was going to get us the next nature strip. But like, they're like, Cashy, you're in charge. Go find out. So I'm emailing people, texting people, and it was just a process that took way too long. And then in the end, the end question always was like, you need like $10,000 to get involved. And we're like, well, we don't have that. So we'll come back to you in maybe 1-2 years when we potentially have it.
Yeah. And it's, we and again, I would say every 6 weeks we've tweaked something on the website. Like I had a 3-hour development call with the developers this afternoon, ironing out little bugs, little imperfections, and
It can actually come down to the shape of a button.
Yeah, right.
Like sometimes you'd be like, that button, it doesn't look very attractive. Like it's got sharp edges. I don't want to touch it.
I don't want to click on it.
Yeah, you very much. You have to like go down
wow.
that route, and it literally, you sleep at night going, do you think it's easy enough to find that horse? Do you think they understand what that horse is? Have we, that sort of stuff lives in your head rent free. And they come, like for ages, the best thing about Stridyl was we actually designed it and we had it undercover for 12 months before we put it out to the stratosphere.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, wow.
And the day that it went to go out, I was like, we can't put it out there. Why would we do this? This is ours. We can't put it out there. And I literally started having anxiety about it. And now, as time goes on, you sort of learn you got to put it out there. If it doesn't work, bring it back, redesign it. You get that confidence. But originally, when we went to put it out there, I was hyperventilating, going, this is a silly idea. We should just bury this. You really don't want to put what you've worked. There's a funny feeling where you don't want to put what you've worked out there because you're worried about it. Because you care about it that much is probably a better explanation. But we did that we harvarded it for we just looked at it for 12 months.
Well, I reckon it's a great idea that hasn't really taken off. Probably what you guys like in the massive, like honestly, the amount of our mates I think that probably still don't know about it.
Yep.
But if they knew how easy it was, they would get into it. It's amazing, and I reckon one day it'll be massive. The end goal, it'll be. I personally think you guys will be massive one day, but it's just getting there. It's
just getting there.
It's just that process.
It's getting out, and then obviously it's also a little bit tough because we're in a point just now where we're in a little bit of a financial crisis. So
it is tough.
Not at everybody's forefront is going, tell you what, everything's getting so expensive. I should definitely buy a racehorse. But being able to put that education out there to be like, oh, hold on a minute, it's actually not as expensive as what you think.
No,
and
100%.
And our main goal, which is what a lot of people sometimes maybe don't understand, and this is a message that we're really working on, is that we're just a lead generator. So we basically bring you to the trainer and the syndicator. So the minute you send that inquiry, you're in touch with that trainer straight away. So we took out the weird phone call. We took out the awkward conversation. You've basically just said, hey, this horse here, is this for me? And they can phone you back and say, well, it could be for you. This is how much it is. But actually, I've got these other 4 as well. So, you know, there's so many more places to go for it. And that's basically we're just the introduction from the public to the to people in racing, whether it be syndicators or trainers. And that's what we're just trying to break down, that little bit of we are very approachable. It is not just for people that have money. I mean, we had a horse on there. What was the cheapest share?
I think the cheapest we've had on there is under $500 for a 5% share.
Oh,
That's pretty good.
I would have music to our ears.
Yeah.
The 18-year-old
100%.
us in that group chat, we probably would have bought it, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people start, especially when they don't know, because they're like, oh, hold on, I'm just going to put 10 grand into this. I don't really know much about it. So we understood that. We understood that there's going to be horses on there for people who genuinely want to find the really best bred horses. They've had a go at this and they really want to go all out. And then there's the starting people who are just like, I just want to dip my toe in the water and see if racehorse ownership is for me.
And also, just touching on that, it's free. So, how we consume other websites, you fill in the filters, it populates as per your search. You might love a particular stallions, syndication, trainer. Budget's the biggest one, I think, for anyone. The ability to put in, well, there's no point wasting your time, and you put in I'm invincible, $250,000. You send the inquiry, maybe not aware. The website states everything for you to stipulate it. Then when you put your information in, your phone number, your email, your contact, click go, it goes directly to the person advertising it. No hidden costs, nothing to slow down the process. Within 3 clicks from arriving on the website, within 3 clicks, you could have sent the inquiry. I think we can do it in about under 20 seconds.
That's crazy. It's
great.
So you wouldn't think that.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, if you didn't know what it was and you were looking at it, a lot of people would get there and be like, I can't be bothered to do this.
Yeah.
100%. I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of it. And that's why we have the education. That's why we have a lot of the video content to be like, is this interesting you?
Yeah.
Keep clicking through, because we're going to get you to somewhere that's going to take you further than being what I love to call your dad, which is a coach jockey. Yeah. You know, on race day, you can actually be a part of it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to promise you that every horse is going to be running in the Everest, but you can be a part of a horse. And I tend to find that when people come in, that's it. Once they get to be a part of something, and that's what racing, that's what ownership is. And that's something that I think gets missed quite a lot on general advertising of racing. Is that when you're an owner in a horse, you're a part of something. You're a part of something that only you and the owners are a part of, because you guys have only been a part of that journey and what happens next. And that is really quite special. That's special for a lot of people, and a lot of people look for that as well. So yeah, if you're looking to meet new people, if you're just looking to be part of a racehorse, you want to be a part of the action, this is something that you can do that's a really cool hobby. And you also don't need to really be that good at it. That's like my hobby I have to be good at. And I'm not. And it's really hard spending money on it every weekend and coming home and going, I'm not that great at it. This is something you don't have to be good at. This is something you can be a part of.
I think the other thing as well is the misconception in this business is to be a winning horse, you got to spend so much money. But people probably don't know, like the casuals that are out there that are probably starting to get into it, where they're thinking about it, but they're like, nah, we obviously the horses that win, like Stormboy, cost yonks, right? But there's horses out there that cost under $100,000.
Yeah, there's your behemoths, there's your think about it.
that have won heaps.
It was the main thing we learnt at Magic Millions, like, and then looking through all the prices of all the horses that were running on the day, and then the ones that won, and the ones that have gone on to do bigger and better things. Like, we noticed those $1 million horses don't often get their money back. Like, it's those ones that cost $50,000 to $100,000
that was an expensive sale, though.
Yeah.
There wasn't a horse
an
that went under
expensive
$100,000.
Yeah, it's
A great example of that is Derby. I mean, Derby slipper winners
Yeah.
Yeah.
have $20,000.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like,
It's literally crazy.
and like Nick said, people just assume that horse must have cost millions of dollars, or not millions maybe, but whatever it may be. And they don't know that, like, again, behemoths. Like they're a bunch of mates from Adelaide that completely
Got a
changed their
tried horse.
lives because it's a $6,000 horse that all of a sudden has earned them over $1 million in prize money. Like, and then same thing with your Think About It, or same thing with any sort of horse that pops up for cheap, like that just gets bought and then comes out and
Have
wins
a go.
next start. Like it happens.
Have a
Happens
go.
all the time.
I think the reason that we were so passionate about it is because we were both racing managers for big metropolitan stables. So part of our job was finding horses and getting owners into them. And so we did it time and time again when we sold people into horses, and we seen they didn't even need to win. They didn't even need to win. It was just the sheer enjoyment of people being a part of something, being at a race day with like-minded people, being able to share whether it was a win or a not win. That was something that was quite special to me. And I was like, David and I both experienced that 100 times over. We, experienced it 8-10 times a week. And I was like, God, this needs to go further than where it is. Because where it is, it's great, but it needs to go further. So that's really the ask of why we did it, because we felt that this needed a public reach, not just an industry reach or someone who might be interested in gambling, because there's a lot of people that probably aren't aware of how interested they would be unless they were involved.
Yeah.
And that's why we wanted to break that. You might not be a punter, you might even just like going for the day out, but hey, there's another 5 levels to this.
That's probably the other side of it. Is the other misconception is you have to be gambling on every single race when you're at the races and stuff. And that's
I can go to the races and I don't have to have a single bet.
That's
Like
what
obviously
we've
I
got.
do, but like I could sit there all day and just watch them go around. And there are people out there that go for the sport aspect. And I think in the last few years, with the rise of sports gambling, it's gotten more people that look like us into it, who would have only just gambled if we were at the races.
Yep.
But now we can sit on the couch and gamble on the footy, which we didn't used to do.
Yep.
Now we want to gamble on everything. We'll gamble on the races every weekend. But it's not just the races people that are interested in racing and going to the races every week. They were the ones interested for sport, and now it's a whole lot more gamblers compared to the sport aspect. And I think the people who are there for the racing get a little bit lost because everyone's just promoting the gambling side.
Yep.
Once you get through that gambling stage though of racing, it's just you see how much enjoyment it is, and it's how much fun it is just to get there. And I know I own a couple horses as well, and like if it's there and thereabouts at the end, and not even money on it, just in pure like me and my brother there, just it's so cool. It's so cool.
I didn't know that about you, Nick. Who do you have your horses with?
So I got lucky. My dad's had a punters club for 25 years, and my granddad was in it as well, and he just got a bit too old, and we pulled him out.
Substitute.
That's enough.
Me and my brother straight in, and we got just really lucky. So the Cheerful Legends won racing this weekend.
Yeah,
race
cool.
one. So with Nate Doyle, who we met up at the Millions, which was pretty cool. But that's our best one that we've got. But just that's how I've kind of started into it. I've only got that in the last year or so.
Yep.
But
Is this now like a Christmas gift? Like,
a little bit. We got it on a random Friday, so I wouldn't call it a Christmas gift, but it was Christmas in the middle of the year. So I was very happy. And but no, I've got that now with my brother and my dad, and then some of his mates as well. But it's good to we have that as a family now as well, which is apart from the punting side of it, which I think a lot of people get lost in that.
Yeah.
That's what the races is.
Yeah, family-owned horses are the best. I've had one was highly desired with Claire Levo. It got to the point where it was too good for the country, not good enough for the city. It happens a lot. But like just from us all gathering around the TV, watching it in like Cootamundra Cup or whatever country cup it was at, and when it actually got up and like everyone jumping up and down, and then we got in the Four Pillars Midway on Golden Eagle Day, so we all got to be in the owners section. And then I think we ran in the Midway on Golden Slipper Day as well one day. So we just thought that was so cool. Like we're in the owners section on Golden Slipper Day. Like there's so much money around us. Like everyone's so wealthy, and we're just like a middle class family from Carlingford that gets to stand here and also have skin in the game. It was great. Alrighty, so we'll get into the aspect of the main reason why we've had you on. Okay, we're always getting these questions. How do we buy a horse? How do I get involved? How much is it? And, you know, it's easy to explain, but it's also not easy to explain at the same time. So we thought we'd get you guys to sit down. We'll ask you the frequently asked questions. And then if anyone ever comes along and says, how do we buy a horse? We'll point them in this direction. So I guess we'll start off with, for someone that is completely new to racing, what are the first steps in deciding whether they want to become a racehorse owner or not?
So if you come to Stridyl.com's, the landing page has the ownership marketplace already pre-positioned as the first thing you see when you arrive on Stridyl.com. Number one, you're searching for a racehorse. Now, as you know, there's racehorses, standard breds, and greyhounds that people are commonly owners of in Australia and globally. But when you come to Stridyl.com, it's thoroughbred racing only. So you come onto the website, you'll be met with the find the racehorse, find your next racehorse as the ownership marketplace. You complete the fields that you see valuable to your search. So hypothetically, you just put in the budget of what you're willing to spend. It will come up with the results on the ownership marketplace. So that's essentially what the
So if you're $1,000 and under, it'll show you all the horses at $1,000 and under. And then if you're in New South Wales or Victoria and you want to see your horse, that's fine. Or maybe you know a little bit about racing and you're like, hey, I actually want to race with Gay Waterhouse. Then we help you out with that as well.
That's pretty cool.
And so I've gone on the marketplace. I've seen all these horses. I've decided, you know what, I'm in. Let's try and find one now. So how do we go about selecting the right one? What should I be looking for? What's important? Is it breeding? Is it trainer recommendations? Is it like there's price points, obviously, but what are the sort of other things that I can sort of look for to know, is that a good horse?
I personally, especially if you're coming into horses for the first time, I think it's quite important. Might not be everyone's importance, depending where you are positioned in Australia, but I think it would be quite cool to be near your horse. So I'd probably definitely look for state. You know, if I'm in New South Wales, I'd love to be able to be around my horse wins or where it runs. I'd love to be able to go see it physically. So I think first thing I would probably have a look at price. What can I afford? Let's find that. And then let's go to state. Let's see, is it the state that I'm in, or actually do I much prefer just watching Victorian racing? I really want a horse down there. I much prefer it. Or there's so much prize money in New South Wales. I want to be able to take on. I want to be able to throw myself at the stumps and be able to get a little bit of a return. So I would probably go state, and then after that have a look at trainers. But a lot of people might not know trainers and might not know who they are, so that's why we have their profiles where they can learn about them. But I'd probably be going budget and state.
In saying that, if you knew you'd be a millionaire, how to find a good horse, right? Like,
Absolutely.
That's the way.
There's a lot of people out there that proclaim it, that they're very good at it.
It's all opinion at the end of the day.
It's all subjective. So there's, I think, 12,000 foals born a year. There's about 6,000 will go through a sale ring publicly in Australia in one calendar year. And they're preconceived by the auction companies of what their value would be, so they allocate it to the sale. So the sale is a good indicator, but it doesn't guarantee you the success you wish. But everyone's view of what a successful racehorse ownership is as well. We get so caught up with the Melbourne Cup or the Golden Slipper. There's a lot of horses. Destiny's Kiss that was trained by Joe Pride. It won more cups, had more cups than my grandmother. It is like, it's one of those. But the horse accumulated over $1 million in prize money.
It paid for itself.
Paid for itself. Wouldn't have cost a lot. Wouldn't have been anything flashy on its page.
There's an aspect there, though, because the way Stridyl's set up, you can go and have a look at them and see their video. Buy the horse you like. You've got to 100%. Look at it for the next 2-3 years.
Yeah.
You know, and even if you don't perceive yourself as someone who knows much about horses, there might be something that stands out about one that's in your budget. Buy it.
Yeah.
Buy it, because worst case scenario, you're going to learn something about yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a good point.
But buy the one you like. Have a look at it. Back yourself. Have a go, because you might learn something.
Well, and there's two sort of avenues you can go down. There's the trainers and then there's the syndicators.
Yep.
Is there a difference? And if so, what is it?
Yeah, definitely. So trainers tend to be, they've gone out to the sale, whether it be a sale or whether it be online, and they've identified a horse that they definitely want to train. And so from there on in, they're looking for owners to take up ownership opportunities within the stable. So that's one avenue where you can go with the trainer, and you're just in there, you're one of his owners, and you're going along his process. We also have syndicators who specifically go out there to bring more owners into racehorse ownership. What I would probably say about syndicators is they probably put on a little bit more emphasis in the group in general. So as an owner in a trainer stable, you're treated as an individual in the group, but whereas a syndicator, you're treated as a group where they might do a little bit more. They might do some open days, they might do some information days, they might even do some dinners or some day trips that have got nothing to do with the horse, but they just want to take their syndicate out. And going in for the first time round, if you're a first time owner going into a syndicate, it's probably great because you've probably got a few more people to bounce off of to say, hey, what's going to happen next? Or what, and they're very seasoned. They're very seasoned to having people, and they're very seasoned to saying, hey, thanks so much for coming in for your 5% or your 1%. This is what to expect in the next 6 months. And we'll be meeting up as a group at the races or the trials, and we'd love you to come and meet the other like-minded owners. So syndicators are more of a group-orientated thing where they maybe do more group-orientated stuff, whereas just going in with the trainer, you're still an individual owner within that horse.
So let's say we get involved and we get a horse. What are some of the financial commitments, such as like your training fees and stuff? What's involved in it?
Depends who you go with. A lot of syndicators and a lot of trainers set it up differently. But basically, depending on at what point you buy in the horse. So the general would be the horses came from sales, so it's a yearling. So there's break-in costs, nomination costs. So a lot of those young horses will be nominated for feature races. And the reason that we nominate them so early is because it's significantly cheaper. So if we nominate them really early, we get significantly cheaper nominations. And there's really cool things depending on each state, which is called race series. So each state has their own different race series. So we might have race series, which is Bob's, where you can pick up bonuses on certain bonus races along the year. Yeah. So we have that. And then we have got training fees. And that's usually your initial up cost as buying in, breaking fee, noms fees for any feature races. After that, we will have fees which usually come at the end of every month, which is basically its general upkeep and training, whether it be in training or whether it be what we call spelling, which is basically when they're having a break. So it's usually monthly fees. Each person that's named as an owner within each horse also receives prize money. So it's really worth noting that buying into those young horses, you're looking at a good 12 months to 18 months before you're hitting the track. And that's if they're early types. And if you've bought in something that's like a little bit later, we're maybe looking at late 2-year-old, early 3-year-old. However, the journey from buying it to getting to that point, you're fully involved in with updates, where it's up to, its training. And if anything, you're probably going to learn an awful lot about training racehorses, which is a plus side.
And when it comes to the debut, like, does all owners get a say of where we want to send the horse, when's it going to race, who's riding it, or is that all down to the trainer?
Being honest, it is down to the trainer. And the reason you'd want it down to the trainer is you're not going to take your car to a mechanic and tell them how to put it together.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time.
That's a good point.
So that's their job. And realistically, for them to tell you, hey, I'm going to place this horse here and this is where it's going to get its best possible opportunity, you're going to have way more confidence than you telling him, there's a really nice 900-metre race at Bathurst. That you might be like, yeah, whatever, the track's weird and it's never been there or whatever. So realistically, you want the trainer. As we get further along, owners obviously get asked questions of, hi, look, we have to look at this horse. Is it worth keeping it as an entire? Should we geld it? We all have inputs on that, inputs on what name we're going to have. But in the general training of where we're going to place it, you really want your trainer telling you where you're going because that's what you're paying him for. There's no point you paying training fees for you to then tell him where to put it.
No,
it's a waste of bloody time.
It's definitely true.
Might as well train it yourself.
Yeah.
When you're looking as well, when you get a new horse, do you get to name your horse if you buy a new one? I know there's a couple of different ways that they do it sometimes, but with you guys, could you name your horse?
Yeah, 100%. So a lot of that comes down to the percentage that you own.
Okay.
So if there's a majority share, which is 50% or over, they're probably going to want to put it in their colours and train it themselves.
Train it or
own it, name it themselves. Otherwise, if you have a syndicator, what the syndicators genuinely do, and trainers do this a lot if they've got equal partners, is everybody puts in a name each, and then there's a voting system of who votes the best name,
Cool.
which should usually mean that you get the best name. can't promise you.
Well, so that means at least you get to have some sort of say. Like there might be a name that you're, set on. No guarantee that it's going to be racing under that name, but at least you get the chance for it to be that name.
If I can give anyone any advice, do not name it after any sentimental person in your life.
It'll ruin.
Those horses never win. They never win. It's terrible.
I honestly,
You'll
I have
hate it in the end.
experience. We've backed horses religiously over sentimental things, and they never
win. Do not name it after your great Aunt Margaret. It's not going to win.
Because you're going to hate your great Aunt Margaret after that.
100%.
It's the thing when you see owners sometimes will get jump 5 steps when they buy a horse, they take a share. The brain goes to imagine it as a stallion, and they get that $30 million, lottery ticket. But the name, I can only think of Schnitzel. That is probably one that's had a name because they've got to commercialize it as well.
Yeah.
You imagine being a stud, you bought this stallion, let's just say Osmosis. You can start to plan your commercial side around. If it has a name that is tricky to promote, it can devalue them as well. Like you look at James Harden.
I don't think it devalues it, but I think with us in the industry, we have a superstition.
About
terrible names.
Yes.
And I'll give you one example of that, which is terrible. But we didn't buy a bloodstock agent bought her for some clients of hers, and she was by Schnitzel out of a mare called Aqua de Parma. And
I can see where this is going.
Yes, and the page was beautiful page. I think we paid $250,000 for her, and then she was named Parmigiana Girl. And it never ran the length of itself. I tell you, it couldn't have gone slower if it tried. And we used to laugh. We would say it was the name. The name slowed it down. So be careful. As much as you want to name a horse, if you're not that great at naming things, be careful because within the industry, we do believe if they're given some average names, it's probably going to slow them down.
Yeah.
And we look again. You look at let's say me and Cashy went out. We bought a horse, and it's won. How does the prize money distribution kind of work with like that? Does it go through you guys at all, or is it just how does it work?
No, so basically once you've came to us and made the inquiry and the trainer of the syndicators got in touch with you, you basically, that's your main point of contact. We've done our bit.
Cool.
So when you're in with the trainer of the syndicator, the majority of the time, unless it's set up in a different, I only know of one syndication that sets it up differently when basically all the prize money goes into a pot and they pay the bills and then they pay you out. But regarding how much your share is how much you'll get paid out. So you've both taken 5%, it goes and it wins, you'll get 5% of the winnings. There is a new rule within New South Wales, and I think it's if 4th and below or 5th and below, where a portion of that prize money is actually sent straight to the trainer. And that's simply because at some point we did have there was a bit of a disconnect where owners were getting prize money and not paying the training bills. So I think first, second, and third definitely get the prize money straight away, and then after that, there's a slight portion taken which is paid towards your training bill, basically straight up. So cool. which is a help for you because you're like, oh, I don't need to pay that. That's done, and then you get the prize money. But yeah, the prize money is given to you out with basically the portion of your share.
And does it come in quickly, or do you have to wait till a certain point where it all comes in one lump? Or?
No, it comes in very quickly. Basically, it's once all... so obviously in each race, all drug testing is done in each race. So it's basically once all the samples are taken and cleared, all the prize money is given out.
That's another thing as well to touch on, which I think is something that you probably don't notice if you're just getting into the game. You can get some prize money if you come 4th or 5th.
You get it down.
You don't need to
You don't need to win.
We pay you down to 10th in New South Wales.
Yeah.
Can you imagine running 10th in an Everest?
Oh, you'd love that.
Yeah. I'd love to imagine that, to be honest. Yeah.
And so you've it's and that's the game. It's very much the easiest way that I explain racing to people is a bit like golf, where you really want to be getting a handicap up to be getting into those different prize money jurisdictions. But to get there, you've got to win those races. So just ticking off those handicap races, those maiden races. And we've now got super maidens in New South Wales, which have it's a great, you've got a horse that wins a race, you're almost getting your money back. So prize money is huge, because the bottom line is we need to be generating prize money to be able to go again or have another horse. So in New South Wales, it's very rich in prize money, I would say.
And I just wanted to add, I think another one of the misconceptions is that if you want a horse that makes money, you've got to be a city runner. Is that true, or can you make money out in the country?
Absolutely no. You can make money in any state. Specifically with the race series, Queensland have got Cutis, Racing New South Wales has got Bobs, and Victoria's got Vobis. So any of those horses that go through the sales that are registered by their breeder, so they're basically registered on their stallion that sired them, depending on what region they're in, they qualify for Bobs Gold, Vobis Gold, Bobs Double Up. So you can always, even in those races that might not look that rich to begin with, they've actually probably got a Bob's bonus of $5,000 attached to it. So absolutely, going out there just knocking off races.
Just knocking off like race 3 at Gosford on a Tuesday still can count towards.
Still can count. And it's counting towards your handicap. It's counting towards bigger races. Once you get your prize money up, you're getting into those more prestigious races. It all counts.
Awesome. And as we probably come to the end, I hope everyone that's listened has learnt a lot, because I know when we first got into it and first talked to you guys, we learned all this, and it's so interesting. And that's the whole point of this, is now people can understand how to do it. With your Stridyl, what's some of the horses that have gone through there that we're seeing racing now? Some of the good ones, so that if people go, actually, I've actually heard of that horse, they can put that. Well, some of the ones that you've had.
So some of the ones we've had that come to mind is King Rousseau, multiple group placed. Pulse Racing advertised there. They didn't have too many last year that they advertised with us. It was one that sold down pretty quick. Some horses take a little bit longer than others. It was by Capitalist, trained by the Snowdens. And they sold that down really quick, went out, named it, and it's been very successful. As I say, multiple group placed. And I think it's maybe stakes winner, maybe, or at least
won one of those early 2-year-old races, I think.
It won at Canberra, I think, and then it looked like it was.
It was on the slipper path.
Yeah, it was on the slipper path, so it's accumulated a lot of prize money. Last week we had the Breeders' Plate, so we've had this has been the largest pool of yearlings on the website before the 1st of August. 1st of August, then they become 2-year-olds. And the first race was the Breeders' Plate Gym Crack Marble Trial in Melbourne. I can never say that word. And then we had the 2-year-old race in Queensland. So the 3 major states in Australia had the first 2-year-old races. And Derby Racing, they had multiple 2-year-olds run across Australia. I can't quite remember which one's which. I know the one that runs in Queensland was a homebred and wasn't advertised, but I think the one that ran in Melbourne and the one that ran in Sydney in the Breeders' Plate were on the website.
So I think it was Tremonti was in Melbourne.
Tremonti wasn't. It was the one.
The other one.
The other one, Crown the King.
Yes,
it ran second on debut. It was on the website. And I think one of the ones that won its trial, either way, I think there's been about 4 in the last 2 weeks that have been on the website. We've got, obviously, King of Rousseau.
Miss Lauren was on the website.
Yeah, the Miss Lauren, which is Raging Force. It was on the website. It ran one of the fastest 2-year-old trials. And
it had just been sold out just for the 2-year-old trials. And it came out and obviously blasted through the trial. And our phones were off the hook, weren't they? Everyone going, how do we buy into the Miss Lauren? How do we buy into Miss Lauren? And I was like, you've just missed out. So it's worth getting involved before the 2-year-old official trials.
And so is it now in this season is where we're going to see a lot of horses that were on Stridyl hit the track?
Yeah, because the platform's only been live for about 18 months. There's a small pool of horses last year which are now 3-year-olds, and the pool that have been advertised since January are now 2-year-olds, and we've only had a handful of 2-year-old races in the first 2 weeks already. So,
but they're out there.
They're coming. They're coming.
And then obviously we've got we did the documentary series following multiple yearlings, and one of them is Yoshinobu, where we actually filmed him for our entertainment side. And he's won multiple races, running in stakes races for Annabelle
So
Nishio.
he had his very first start, and he was ready to go to the races, but it was a tough race for him. But he got plenty of education out of that, and now he's came back this prep, and his first 2 starts have been wins.
Yep.
So he's heading out on Saturday into stakes race. So that was in the Paddock to Post documentary that we did, and that was basically to give people an idea of what happens, where they come from. So Yoshinobu, we've got being birthed at home at Sejinho, and we've basically followed him to getting to the races.
But he was on the ownership marketplace as well.
Yeah, he was in the audience for Annabelle Nishio.
So that's like a Stridyl OG horse.
He's like
Yeah.
he's the main man.
So if he wins,
Literally.
He's the Stridyl horse.
Before he was even there, he was there.
so without being Mystic Meg, I would say the horses, the 2-year-olds that have either been on the website or are on the website now, I would predict about 10 to 20% of them you'll see win at metro level, because a lot of the stables that are advertising in the syndications are prominent at that level, and already we've seen that in the first 2-year-old races. And obviously like Yoshinobu and King of Rousseau, you'll see multiple horses race at stakes level as well. So if you go they're there on the website, there's
Just inquire.
Now
It's
it's
so
inquire.
free. It's
Yeah,
so free.
100%.
If you inquire and they tell you, they come back and you've actually changed your mind, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's worth, out of anything, if you're a little bit interested, just go have a look. Just go have a look and see what you like.
Yeah.
And then
And don't
It's
wait
the
as
worst
well. I
case.
remember my mate was going to inquire, and then it came back that it was already sold out. Like he was across the lecture hall, he called out. He was like, "Cashy," like what? He goes, "They sold my horse." He's like, "I was ready to buy. They sold it."
It does. And it doesn't matter because any inquiry you make is completely free. You can make 20 inquiries on every horse. Just go, have a look. Have a chat to the trainer, have a chat to the syndicators, see what opportunities are there for you. If it fits your bill, it does. And if it doesn't matter. You're on their mailing list and they're going to contact you when something else comes up.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the best bit, and I think that's the best way to go about it. And probably with our final one that we'll go with, what's next for you guys? We like to ask everyone that we talk to, everyone we interview, what's next for Stridyl?
What's next time?
I think looking at it going forward, as we are media and digital driven, we are looking at other avenues where attention is. I think that's our biggest thing, because we're a lead generator. Our goal is to get as many people converting that audience to the platform to then obviously then become a racehorse owner, etc. I think the 2 biggest things I would like to accomplish over the next 2 years, I would say, is something new on the consumption of racing, of how we consume racing, especially on a Saturday, and really to fall back on our relationships with people. I love horse racing. I love watching it, but I think we can offer a different way of. I've got an idea of how it works. So we'll hopefully next time we chat, we'll have it up and running. That's the short term we want to keep testing in the consumption aspect. The other side is the community side. And I would like to look at how we already have our first partnership with Double Turf Club, and we want to roll out more partnerships with more race clubs. And we're also in partnership with Racing Queensland. So to be trusted by a governing body, and here in New South Wales, a leading country racetrack, has given us a great foundation. I would like to roll that out more and more. With the team, obviously, we're looking at the relationship side, because it's not cheap to go to the races. You know, you go to the Saturday, it's not cheap. So we're looking at how we can build the community side, get more people through the doors to the race clubs, and incentivize you to have a good day at the races. And then hopefully if you have a good day at the races, you might search for your next racehorse as well. That's the kind of 2 things that pop to my mind.
That's in our immediate future is definitely the race clubs. So for anyone who doesn't know, we're teaming up with race clubs around New South Wales and Queensland at the present moment, as well as ownership organisations, where we basically come in and we have a chat to all their members about how to come and making racehorse ownership accessible to everyone. So if you go to Dubbo now, there's loads of signage around about Stridyl, about being able to be a part of be able to buy your first racehorse. And we'd love to be able to roll that out in every single turf club. So anyone that stepped foot in a turf club would know, hey, I can actually come here for my own horse, not just to watch everybody else's. So that's definitely our biggest sort of goal this year, is to roll out on every race turf and every turf club Australia has to offer. Would be my absolute goal.
It's just, it takes a lot of, we're going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting with it, but the response so far from the race clubs has been exceptionally positive. Obviously, the governing body's positive. We're all in the same boat.
Queensland have been sensational.
And I think there will be other race clubs and other governing bodies will join us, but we want to see more guys with the same enthusiasm as yourself and us come through the doors, experience it, maybe for the first time or the 100th time, and just make it a bit more accessible, because there isn't actually a barrier to entry for anything. It's just simplifying the process, and
especially these days. It's got to be so simple for people.
Well,
otherwise they give up.
That those big companies that have done well, who've spent a lot of money on simplicity, win. And you've got it.
It's a simple way to put it.
The way now, when we're looking at phones and digital, if you're not getting the answer in 10 seconds, you've probably checked out.
Yeah,
You're just like, do you know what? Well, it's too hard basket. I'm going to the next one. So
scroll, whatever it is. It's social media scroll.
Yeah.
You can't.
What's engaging? What's catching me?
Yeah.
And so that's really something that we're working on. Of how much content can we put out there? How much can we let you know? And we're not saying come buy a racehorse is going to solve all of your problems, but we're letting you know, hey, this is something you can do. If you didn't know if it's something you can do, you can buy a racehorse today. You can be a part of something today.
Yeah.
And that's basically what Stridyl's message was. We just wanted to take the barricades away and say it's actually way easier than what you think it is. Whether you're on a turf club, whether you're on your phone, whether you're on the way to uni, you can buy a racehorse.
Well,
that's awesome.
Stridyl.com, people. Head there right now and get your horse, and you can be getting involved as of today.
The one thing I would love to say is if you have any questions about racehorse ownership, just reach out.
Yeah.
Just ask us.
Send us a message as well if you need, and we'll put you in touch with these guys, and
100%.
they're awesome.
Yeah,
They're awesome. So
and tag us, show us what you got involved in, show us what you've inquired in.
yeah,
Social media, we live on it. And hopefully as a community we'll maybe be racing together, and you never know, we might have a mock sports horse in the future together. Cross collaboration, but no, it's been good.
a nickel cashy horse, eh?
Yeah, Cash and Nick, just call that as its name, or
Cash and Nicks.
It's definitely Nick and Cash. It's not Cash and Nick. Let's make that straight. Everyone knows it. No, thank you guys very much. Great chat. I think, it's going to teach a lot of people some really good things. So thank you very much for coming on and letting us into your house to record this.
Pleasure.
We do charge $500.
Damn it.
We've already sent it. No, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you
Thanks for
guys.
having us.
Pleasure.